Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Digimon Adventure 2020, Episode 9. So yeah, another episode of Digimon Adventure this week. Don't really know anything of what to expect from it. Last we left off, we liberated the fortress, I guess you could say. Not really liberating anything, because there was no one there to save or nothing there. Like, the fortress, for all we know, was always in control of the bad guys. So, but the bad guys were defeated. The Digimon, presumably working under Devimon, and yeah, they found this mysterious lab that had a slab of stone talking about the Holy Digimon, which Tai could suddenly read the stone and the carvings on it, which I still think is probably due to the Digivice. It seemed like it let him read it. But yeah, otherwise, I know nothing about this episode. I don't know what to expect at all. Um, I've heard nothing, so we're going into this completely blind. um, yeah, I'm really, really enjoying this though. Like, this is just, as I've said in the past, it's like a blend of nostalgia, but also it feels like something new because things are being handled differently, ordered differently. Things are being just introduced in a newer, fresher way that makes it feel like a brand new series instead of a reboot of a classic series. Um, and I believe I said this within the first few episodes as well, back when those first aired months and months ago. That it makes it feel different from, like, say, the reboot of Fruits Basket, which is more by the numbers and feels very. It just doesn't feel like it changes enough, and it doesn't feel like it's different enough to warrant a reboot. Um, in my eyes, a reboot of any series should set itself apart from the original, not just in terms of better voice acting, better animation, better art, all of that jazz. It should set itself apart in terms of how it's presented as well. And not many reboots do that, unfortunately. This, however, is Digimon Adventure 2020 is setting itself apart by handling things in a different way, by presenting things and introducing things in a different way. It makes it feel different. But like I said, at the same time, there's that nostalgic feeling as well. Because it's like, for those like me who grew up with Digimon, it's like, yeah, we know Tai, we know Sora, Joe, and Mimi, and yada yada. We know these characters, we know their partner Digimon. We even already know who Devimon is, even though his name has not once been said in this series so far, and the only like the only reason we even know he exists at the moment in the series is because it very, very briefly showed a silhouetted version of him. That's it. But that's enough for us as viewers who, again, had seen the original to know what is going on here. So yeah, it's like there is that nostalgia factor. There is that factor of, like, yeah, we understand the general gist of everything. We get what's going on. But again, because it's being presented differently, because we're not meeting these kids until the digital world comes in instead of, like, at the camp and stuff, because it's just handling the order and the general style of it all very differently than the original, it helps it feel fresh and new at the same time. So yeah, I really appreciate that. I really love that. Um, from what I know, there's still no set amount of episodes, so it's like we still don't know exactly how long this is going to go. Um, it might cover the entire Digimon Adventure 1 series. the events from that, which means we'll probably get the likes of Myotismon as well, and Piedmon, who I always forget about. I always forget about Pete. Was Piedmon Adventure 1 or was he Adventure 2? Either way, I always forget about Piedmon. Um, and I don't know if we'll even get Adventure 2 related stuff. That might like be another series. But yeah, and I've talked about this before as well, but it's like after a certain point, the Digimon shows just started becoming a little too ridiculous for me. Um, and I'm so glad that they're kind of going back to their roots with this, with not only like literally with the entire reboot situation, but just in general. It feels like they're going back to the roots of what made Digimon popular and special instead of just adding in a bunch of new random shit every time. Like the first three seasons, the first three generations of Digimon were great. Adventure 1, Adventure 2, and I think the third one was Tamers. But after that, when it started like, oh, we become our Digimon now, and then other kinds of really dumb shit. Um, and I think after a certain point, it even stopped using like the digital world as a actual world and started like incorporating more like this like internet place, kind of like the net as you see Izzy in. And my camera just died. Hold on. Okay, but like I was saying, the net. Shit. Really? Okay, let's try this. I'm keeping it further away from my legs so I don't actually accidentally bump the cord. But it's like I think the other shows, the other generations had it so it's like it eventually went to like where they were not in like a digital world, an actual world with like forests and mountains and all that, but rather they were in more along the lines of like the net like space that Izzy's in currently in this series. But that's like all that took place, and then one of the games as well does that kind of same thing. At least one of the games, the game I have, Cyber Sleuth, which the game is good otherwise. And what the fuck is going on with the with this camera? Hold on. Um, but yeah, it's like I just prefer having an actual digital world. But either way, this has been a fantastic reboot and really just reinvigorated Digimon for me. So I hope you're all enjoying it as well. Either way, thank you all so much for tuning in. We're just going to get this started. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. Okay, and we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, yeah, Ogremon's dead. I mean, there's no way he could have escaped that. He was kind of obliterated. And it's not like it's kind of a new thing or anything like super special for Digimon to kill off characters. I mean, Leomon died every single season, pretty much. um, but there's even been more than that. Wizardmon was always the big one for me. Like a lot of people talk about Leomon's death or deaths, um, and how that always affected them growing up. But for me, it was Wizardmon, especially because of Kari and Gatomon's connection with him. It just that one always messed me up. So it's like Digimon have died like ever since the very first generation, Adventure One, back when it first aired. So it's not like surprising that we'd see a death here. It's more so surprising that it happened this soon. Look, I expected deaths. I just didn't expect them to happen only in episode 9. You know, like I would have thought they would have at least waited until around episode 20, maybe somewhere around then. But this actually makes sense with how they handled it because of Ogremon having a kind of a character arc. Ogremon is introduced after they first get to the digital world as kind of this pursuing enemy, this force who keeps sending these other Digimon after them, as well as fighting himself. We see that he's serving a stronger, more intimidating enemy with Devimon, um, who again we don't actually like. We haven't actually been fully introduced to yet. Um, and we kind of get this feeling for Ogremon that he wants revenge. And we find out in this episode it's not so much revenge that he wants. He wants another battle with Greymon in order to in order to I don't know how to put it. It's more of a kind of like respect kind of thing. Ogremon kind of respects Tai and Greymon for their fighting prowess and tenacity and everything. Um, and because of his pride in his horns, having one of them broken in the past battle left him with this need to not really get revenge, but kind of face off to prove himself against what he perceives, let's be honest, as a stronger enemy. I fully think Ogremon understood that Greymon was stronger than him. But he wanted this fight anyways because he wanted to prove to himself and to Tai and Greymon that he was strong too and that he deserved their respect just as they deserved his. He wanted to prove himself. And it's like it was said when they were fighting, they look like they're having fun. This, like, I fully believe it's the same thing with Agumon, Greymon, whichever form, it doesn't matter, it's the same Digimon. Um, both of them have like this kind of love of battle. They really respect and are enjoying taking on these enemies. Not out of some weird interest in hurting others or beating up on opponents, but they love to fight. They love the thrill, the action, the respect. Um, and fighting can be pretty cool like that. Fighting isn't always just about beating people up. That's a very archaic and dumb way of looking at things. So I actually really like how it showcased that with Ogremon here. And this arc ends, this character arc for Ogremon ends with him like not getting to accomplish his goal. He does not get to finish the fight against Greymon. It's interrupted by Metal Tyrannomon. And because of it, he has to try to prove himself in a different way. Knowing that the fight against Metal Tyrannomon is a complete waste of time and that there's no chance, he elects instead to help his new friends, the Digimon and partner he respects. He elects to help them get to where they need to go to get to the Holy Digimon, while continuing to take on Metal Tyrannomon himself. It was a very noble sacrifice. And he didn't just do it to try and look cool. He did it because he legitimately wanted to help them, because he legitimately respected them. And I think it definitely proves, this episode very much proved, that Ogremon, unlike some of the other Digimon we've seen, have not been under the control of the Soundbirdmon. So Ogremon was willingly serving Devimon, probably from a point of fear because Devimon has that kind of personality to him where he just strikes fear in his opponents, or in some cases, even his followers. So it was probably along those lines. Um, but we also saw that Ogremon respected Tai and Greymon more, that was more important to him in the end. Now, I know that Digimon also has this thing about Digimon not really staying dead after a Digimon dies. It's reborn into a Digi-Egg, fresh and new, um, which almost seems like a cop-out, but one, we don't know if they're continuing with that in this. I would have to assume so, but we don't know because we didn't see anything, and I guess we won't have any necessary proof right yet. Um, and two, it's just how Digimon work. They never fully die. They just are basically reincarnated. Um, and it's always been a little interesting thing about Digimon. And it's not like they're really, in a way, it's not even like they're the same Digimon because they have different. They don't have the same memories really. They come out like they're the same Digimon line and everything. It's just they're different as well. You know what I mean? I'm not great at explaining this, so um, they have different personalities. They have different kinds of all of that jazz. They're just the same Digimon line. So like if an Agumon died, it would be an Agumon again. It would just not it would almost kind of not be the same Agumon. Again, it's like a reincarnation thing. Here's a way to look at it. It's like Avatar. Aang and Korra are technically the same person. They are technically both reincarnations of the Avatar spirit of Rava. They are technically the same, like, immortal being, but they are different people at the same time. They are their own separate people. They have their own separate memories, their own separate experiences, their own separate personalities, but they are technically the same being if you really want to be technical. And that's kind of how it's like for Digimon. At least that's how I've always perceived it to be. Um, so yeah, the episode kind of ends with Ogremon's sacrifice, and I checked there was no end credits scene. There hasn't really been in this series. Um, so it's like we don't know what Tai and the others are going to do in this situation. Are they going to run? Are they going to continue to try and fight Metal Tyrannomon? We don't know. It could go either way, but the only way that they'll be able to defeat Metal Tyrannomon is if one of them, and it would most likely be Tai and Agumon, reaches the ultimate stage and we get Metal Greymon, or if we get Omnimon again. And I really just do not think Omnimon's going to happen again this soon. Omnimon, we're going to probably get like randomly spread throughout, but it's only going to be like during the really big and important stuff. Like maybe during the final fight against Devimon. I could see that. But definitely not at this point. Not against a Metal Tyrannomon. It would just kind of feel out of place, honestly, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, I'm really enjoying this. Like, this was a fantastic episode. There wasn't a lot that even happened in it, but what did happen, I feel, had meaning to it. Like, the actual stuff that happened was very interesting, very exciting, very fun, and had a lot of meaning to it, and I just really enjoyed it. So, yeah, tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.